And then fourth, your brain wants to just control what's happening to make sure we get it right.
That's good.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. As always, I'm your host, actor, filmmaker, Brian Terry Snell. I have an awesome topic today, as always, and it's gonna be a topic that I honestly wish somebody in an acting class or a coach or just anybody would have explained this to me 4 years ago. It would have saved me a lot of time, and that's the number one reason why I am here with you today, to save you a shitload of time. So today's topic was actually requested by somebody, and they were wondering what acting feels like. So I'm going to explain it to you today. And before we get into the video, make sure you guys please subscribe and follow me on Instagram. And if you guys have any comments about what we're going to learn in this video, place them down below. We'll have a conversation, talk about it. So the topic is going to be, what does acting feel like? What should acting feel like? And what the art of acting actually is. Because I think there's just a giant misconception that acting is performing. Because we see it on TV, we see it in movies, and everybody says, oh, what a performance. And the audience members, you know, they see somebody performing. It's actually the opposite. We're not performing at all. And that is the most misleading title. Don't ever call it performing again. For the rest of your life, don't ever call acting performing, because it is not a performance at all. And that kind of brings me to my first point, is when we're acting, we feel like we need to perform. I feel that way. You probably have felt that way. We all feel that. And it's something I feel like we're gonna battle for the rest of our life as an actor. You're always gonna try to do more because you think that the audience is gonna relate. When you're doing more, when you're extra crying and extra yelling and extra this, and you're like trying to reach to the audience, that is actually where the disconnection is going to happen. From me to the audience, the more I do, I'm just feeding them, but the audience isn't hungry.
No, I said I'm not hungry! Where is it now?
They don't need to be fed. They need to figure it out. They need to make a judgment call about the character. They need to figure things out on their own without me telling them. That is where performing is a major issue. We never need to perform. And the term that I really love is less is more. Acting should feel like you're doing nothing. You know, there's the preparation of acting, then there's the execution. Okay, so it's a two-part way. So at the end of the day, acting should feel like you're doing nothing. And I think that's the scary part. That's what creates an amazing actor, is when they can let go and do nothing. The hard part about acting is not doing more. And I feel like that's what we struggle with so much. And as an audience member, if you're watching this and you're not an actor, that's what acting is. Being vulnerable, letting go, and trying to do nothing. And it sounds weird because you're actually not doing nothing, so to say, but the mental part of it is letting yourself relax, not trying to control anything, not trying to premeditate anything that's going to happen. It's literally just relaxing, being in the moment, which I've spoke about in a couple of my other videos, and that is what nothing is. You know, we're trying to do less instead of doing more on the camera. And it's just like Robert De Niro said. I'm going to put a clip up right now and you guys can see. This is a clip that I religiously watch. If I'm going to ever watch any type of acting advice, this is the number one clip that I would relate to or refer to if I ever need to get myself back on track to say, hey, you're not being truthful, or you're trying to do too much, or you're trying to control the situation. I will relate to this scene right here.
It's simpler than you think, and it's very hard for actors, and I get caught up in that myself, where you have to do more, do something, and you don't have to do anything, nothing, and you're better off, and it'll work the way people are in life. They don't do anything. They could, I'm talking to you and I'm looking at your expression, and you could have been told that somebody in your family was this or that, some terrible thing. You're still going to have the same look on your face, and that says more, allows the audience to read into it as opposed to you telling them what they should feel. And actors tend at times to try and say they have to give it something, and they don't have to give it anything. So with David, if we're just working and working and doing all these things, you don't have time to think about, well, this or that, or how do I spin it or interpret it. You just have to do it, and it'll take care of itself.
So when it comes to doing less, I want to break this down in the most simplest form that even somebody who is not an actor can understand and say, oh, okay, it makes sense, you know? We already know now that the word performing is misleading. Performing is going to make you do more, and that's what we don't want. And we also know the term less is more is going to be exactly where we need to be. I mean, let's face it, we're going to try to control the scene. We're going to try to control what's happening. Our brain is telling us, okay, first off, it can't be this easy. Second off, you look boring. Third off, you look very uninteresting. And then fourth, your brain wants to just control what's happening to make sure we get it right. So we really need to do the opposite of all those. Don't be interesting. Do not try to control anything. Literally do the opposite of those. And that is where the tough part of acting is. What makes a great actor is one that can be vulnerable, not control anything, and literally do nothing. It's so hard to do nothing when the camera's on you and you got people watching you and you're in this moment with your scene partner and you want to be interesting and make everybody say, wow, that was so good. That's what we all want to do. And it's funny, I have a small story that I won't go on forever. The last film that I did, I was lucky enough to be the lead in this short film, and I said to myself, before I even started my preparation or anything, I said, in this film, I'm going to do my best to do nothing. I'm going to literally stop trying to be interesting, stop trying to perform, stop trying to put a show on. I'm just going to be, and I'm just going to see what happens, and I'm going to trust myself and trust my preparation that it's just going to work out somehow. And I swear on everything, when the film was finished and I went and watched it, it was like mind-blowing. It was a totally different side of myself that I haven't seen in any of my other work. And not that I feel like my other work was bad, but this was just different. This was leading man. You could see the confidence and you could see just a whole nother side of myself. And I feel like that gave me confirmation that, okay, I understand what's happening now. And again, it's something that we're gonna fight for the rest of our careers. Stop being interesting, like stop trying to do this and trying to perform and trying to put a show on and wow everybody. We're gonna fight that to the day we die. I guarantee. I mean, I know I will. I don't know about you guys, but it's something that I have to always remind myself. You know, it's crazy too, because when you stop trying to be so interesting and you stop trying to perform and stuff, you look so good. You look so much better than you realize. So again, there's two parts to this thing. You have your preparation. That's where you can find your objective. You can figure out the relationship with the characters and memorize your script and blah, blah, blah. That's your preparation. Then it comes time for your execution. Acting is a two-part way. Preparation, execution. When you get to the execution, we're going to put all the preparation aside. I already know it. It's in my head. I trust myself. I've done the work. I didn't overthink it. I didn't overkill. I prepared. When I go to execute, that's when I just be. And I just trust myself that everything I did is just going to show up. And that is the scary part of acting. But that is what separates good actors from great actors. It's the constant battle of trying to just be and just trying to live in the moment and just be a real human being. Hopefully you're following this. And another thing I think we do is we tell ourselves, it can't be this easy. And I touched on this in another video. The truth of the matter is, it is this easy. You should feel like it's effortless. The most emotional, draining scene you could ever imagine, they do it like it was nothing. Jamie Foxx in Just Mercy. I mean, that guy is unbelievable. Some of the stuff that you knew his character was going through, it looked emotional, it looked just exhausting, but the guy just made it so freaking effortless. It's mind-blowing. Michael B. Jordan in that movie, everything he did, it was just like clockwork. Like the dude, it just looked like it was it was happening right now. It was a true story. It was in the moment. It should feel effortless. And it's the same way with any performer. You can always tell the difference between a singer that has been doing this for a long time or a singer that is brand new. The confidence, the difference in the confidence, right away, boom, I can smell it. And you can smell confidence, trust me. But again, it is that easy. It really is. So, the less we try to do, okay, the next thing is going to be trusting your body. And there's two different ways that I want to explain this. The first way is going to be trust your body and your movements, okay? I remember when I first got into acting, I would be in the middle of a scene and I'd be like, okay, what should I do with this arm? Okay, this arm's here. Do I put it in my pocket? Or, okay, maybe here. And I would be thinking about my body and my physicalities while I'm in the scene. Maybe some people don't, deal with that or struggle with that, but I kind of still struggle with it to this day, but in different parts of my body. And that's because I'm putting the attention on myself when the attention should be on my scene partner. That just lets me know right there that I'm paying attention to Brian. What is Brian doing? Are you doing it right? And that is the wrong thing to do. I shouldn't be worried about my body and what it's doing. Just let it do what it's gonna do in the moment. My instincts will kick in and my body should take over itself. When I'm connected and I'm in the moment, my body is just gonna do things, and then you'll go back and watch it and you'll be like, oh, I scratched my head there. I don't even remember doing that. I had an itch and it just naturally, I just scratched my head in the middle of us talking. It should be like that. And that is where that effortlessness also comes in, is where I don't need to try to figure out what to do with my hands and my body. And another thing, when it comes to trusting your instincts, people always wonder, like, how do I cry? Or how do I make myself cry? And it's like, yes, there is ways that you can use your stomach to breathe a certain way, and there is techniques for that. But if you want to actually be in the moment, and if it happens type thing, that is going to be based off your instincts. That's something that you need to let happen. You don't need to control when you're going to cry or how you're going to cry or who you're going to cry in front of and why. Everybody needs to understand, like, even as an audience member, not only as actors that are watching, when it comes to your instincts, if you're so free in the moment and you're just committing and you're just honest, there might be a moment where you're just so connected that it just happens. And then once it starts happening, that's when you can start, okay, I got this. And you can start feeding into it and maybe make it happen more. And you don't need to like control it. But once it's there, your body will naturally just allow you to kind of like use it almost like a pump. You know what I mean? It starts a little bit and then you can start feeding it a little bit. But you don't want to force yourself to that moment. If it happens, it happens. Your physicality and your demeanor and all that stuff, all of that needs to be based on instincts. Just don't pay attention to it at all. Just allow it to do it by itself. And trust me, if you do that, you'll be so surprised. Your body will just start doing things out of nowhere. And you'll be like, what the heck? Like, I didn't even see myself do that. And it's like magic. It's so simple, but our brains do not allow it to be that simple. So it's almost like you need to be fighting what your brain wants you to do. And another cool thing that I do, which I feel like there's a rule that says like you shouldn't do it, but whatever. I watch myself from an audience's point of view. I think to myself, okay, as an audience member that just watched this, was it honest? Was it believable? Was it truthful? And did I feel like that actor was living in the moment myself? That's just me personally. I don't know like if you're supposed to do that or if you guys feel like that is helpful, but it's one thing that I always did was I tried to ask myself questions while I'm in the moment maybe, or even before I go in or afterward or whatever it is, and I really just take that time to watch what just happened like it's a movie already. Almost as if I'm watching what just happened as it's the finished product. And I ask myself those questions, and that helps me personally a lot to make sure that I'm being honest and that the moment feels real. And one of the last things I want to touch on is making choices. This is something that I still struggle with to this day, and I continuously hear, okay, when you find out the choice that you want to make, don't go with that first choice, go with your other two. And in my head, I'm like, well, I went with this choice because I don't have two other choices. This is the only choice I can think of. I'm constantly in that battle of like, okay, what does making a good choice look like? How do I make a good choice without trying to be interesting and trying to do too much? And how do I make a good choice that's going to actually be right? Is this the right choice? Is it the wrong choice? So, from my experience, my understanding, and from what I've worked on with my acting coach, first off, there is no right and wrong choice. You make whatever choice that you think is right. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if they think it's right. It doesn't matter what casting thinks or the director thinks. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. You make the choice that you think is right. You run with it, stay confident with it, and that's the end of it. At the end of the day, take it, throw it in the trash, and move forward. And you can evaluate what your choices are when you're doing your preparation. So I want to give a really cool example of making choices. So any of you that are having an issue with how do I make my choice or what choices are available to me, I'm going to help you out right now. So if you have a scene and the character is a really mean, arrogant guy and he just treats people like crap all the time, right? And that might be it might tell you, arrogant guy, his name's Steven and he treats people like crap, here's his lines, roll with it. Every single actor is going to play this guy as an arrogant prick that treats people like crap all the time. Boom, 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 boom. They're going to see the same thing all day in casting, right? So this is me speaking to you guys, the actors, or the audience, and this is me speaking to myself as well, because this is something I always have to remember. Instead of playing this guy like an arrogant prick to everybody, think about it like this. This guy might not be like that every second of his life. He's still a human being. So he might be an arrogant jerk to all these people, but when he goes home at night, he probably cries to himself or something. He still has a human side to him. I look at it as I'm going to make a choice that, yes, he's an arrogant guy, he treats people like crap, but when he's not around people, maybe he's a totally opposite guy. You know what I mean? And that right there is a choice that I could make when I'm going to audition or if I'm going to be on set. I'm going to say, okay, yes, I'm going to be that guy that is a jerk and just mistreats people, but I'm also going to show his human side to him where he can actually be a nice guy. There's reasons why he acts the way he acts. Maybe I know the reasons, maybe I don't. But in my head, I am the character. I'm going to play the truth to it and say, okay, on the other hand, the guy is pretty normal outside of treating people like crap. That is a choice in itself right there. Your choice could be that he's just a jerk 24/7 all day, every day. That's a choice as well. Explore a little bit and really think about the real character. It's a real life. It's not some cartoon character. It's not a character you're developing. You are the character. You're playing this real life thing. So I think it's very important to utilize this and really think about the human characteristics of this guy. So again, your choices should be made in preparation so you can execute them when it's time for execution. And one of the last things that I want to talk about real quick is going to be your instincts, which I think we talked a little bit about it. But I think your instincts are very important because what will happen is when you're actually in the moment, you're honest, you're being confident, you're not trying to control anything, your instincts will take over. And that's when you know you're doing something right. Because if you're not going off of your instincts and you're controlling everything, okay, hand has to be here, mouth closed, okay, I'm going to look over here, and you're doing all these controlled, like, weird things, that's not instincts. When instincts kick in is what I explained to you earlier. When I'm in a conversation with you and I'm just so lost in the conversation that I don't even feel the itch right here. I just start itching. It just happened, you know? Or I adjust because I'm even more interested, and I'm just like, you know, or maybe I'll put 2 hands up because I'm just so excited to hear what you have to say or whatever. Those things should come natural. I shouldn't be like, okay, lift left hand, smile. Like, that's weird. That's not what acting is. But that's what we tend to do a lot because we're trying to control what's happening. We want to look interesting. We said that earlier. Long story short, trust your instincts. Don't worry about what your body's doing or what your eyes are doing or anything. Just be in that moment, relax, do nothing. Do nothing. I'm telling you, the next time you're on set or the next time you're reading a monologue or whatever you're trying to do, audition maybe, when you're having the connection and you're speaking or if you're listening, try to do less and just trust yourself that in fact you're interesting. The less interesting you try to be, the more interesting you are. And that is the art of acting. So I hope this was easy to understand today. It was a little tough for me to explain, even though I took notes here. But I hope this kind of simplifies things because I did not have this information when I first started. None of my acting classes had this information. None of my coaches had this information until I got with the acting coach that I'm with now. He's the one that really just simplified a lot of this for me. I just wish I would have known some of these things when I first got into acting because it would have made more sense. I think I spent like 3 or 4 years just really trying to understand what is what and how interesting I can be and, okay, how am I gonna pull this audience in and stuff. And what I thought acting was, it's the exact opposite of what I thought it was. And I'm sure that is kind of for some of you guys as well, maybe watching. Acting is not what I thought it was. It's actually even cooler. It's actually even scarier because as vulnerable as you have to be and as out of control as you have to be, it's almost electrifying. I can't really explain the feeling, but that's what makes acting so interesting is because it's unknown, it's scary, there's no control, and when you're on set, yes, you should feel like you're doing nothing, but you should also feel like, okay, this is a little scary, but if it's scary and it's unknown and I'm not controlling it, I know I'm in the right direction. Allow yourself to be relaxed, confident, and committed. Those are the 3 things that you need. All right, guys, and before you go, please do not forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I would love to talk to you guys about what you learned today, so put a comment below and we'll chat. Thank you for your guys' support. I seriously appreciate it, and I hope the information that I share with you guys is helpful not only for the actor, but maybe even for the audience as well to help understand what we're going through as actors or what we experience as actors. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time on How to Become an Actor.
That's good.